We do. Hello, everyone. How are you? Here we are, a meeting of the Committee of the Whole, August 19th. It's a little bit past 4, so I think we can get started. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm Charlie Zelli, Chair. I should have it memorized. I don't, but to paraphrase, the Governor Walz continues to declare another peacetime emergency. So we are going to continue to meet virtually, and I would suspect we will be meeting virtually for some time to come. And under the emergency order, we are under Minnesota statute, section 13D.021. We're holding it electronically. The meeting is streamed live and recorded, so the public is certainly willing to remotely attend. If you'd like to make any comments, please email us at public.info@netc.state.mn.us. And I think Bridget is with us, so Bridget, we can call the roll. Or Liz. Bridget's here. Bridget, you look like you're still muted, so I don't know if you're saying anything. Can anybody hear Bridget? No, I'm not either.
No.
Let's
No.
see.
Bridget, you could try calling in. Maybe.
Oh, there you are. I can see you, but we're not hearing you. You want to try calling? Oh, you can hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm having problems with my headphones that they keep dropping me. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. I am ready to do the roll. Councilmember Barber.
Here.
Sandless.
I'm here.
Cummings.
Here.
Ferguson. Ferguson. Fredson. Fredson.
Here. Here.
Gonzalez. Gonzalez. Johnson. Johnson. Lee.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lee's here.
Lilligren.
Here.
Lindstrom.
Here.
Sterner. Sterner. Vento. Vento.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Zarin.
Present.
Chair Zelli.
I'm here. We have a quorum. Thank you. And now the approval of the agenda. And unless anybody has any questions or corrections, I will see them as approved. So everybody's nodding. Okay. And hearing no corrections or questions, we're going on to the approval of minutes for August 5th, 2020, the regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Moved by
Move approval.
second by Lee.
Second by Lee. Motion by Vento. And any discussion? All right, Bridget, keep going.
Barber.
Aye.
Shambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez. Gonzalez. Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Sterner. Sterner. Vento.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Zarin.
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. The minutes are approved. So now we're getting to our one information item, and it is something that I personally am really interested in. We're going to hear from Cameron Bailey, but to help introduce him to talk about solar technical assistance in the region, we have Lisa Bajaras. Lisa, are you going to introduce Cameron?
Lisa might be having trouble. Chair Zelli. This is Angela Torres, Manager of Local Planning Assistance.
Angela.
Hi, Lisa might be having some technical issues. She just said she got bumped out, and so I'm not sure if she's back yet.
Okay, so you know what?
I'm happy to introduce Cameron if needed.
Angela, why don't you go ahead and do that if you can? Thank you.
Sure. Cameron's been with the council for several years now. He focuses on he started through a contract with the McKnight Foundation in providing solar technical assistance to the region. After that, we were very lucky that he wanted to stay with the council, and we kept him on in local planning assistance, where he continues to provide solar technical assistance to communities across the region. He works and coordinates with multiple agencies, both nationally and throughout the state. And he has been asked today to come and present all the great work that he does in partnership with so many different groups and organizations, as well as internal staff here at the council. He's also going to talk a little bit about a pilot program that we've developed here at the council. So with that, I will turn it over to Cameron.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Angela and Chair Zelli. Just so everyone knows, I'm about to turn off my video. Wanted to have it on first so you know what face is talking with y'all. And I'm about to turn it off, try to conserve some bandwidth for everyone. So thank you for the introduction, and good afternoon, Chair and committee members and all others in attendance today. My name is Cameron J. Bailey, and I serve the public of the region as a senior planner in the local planning assistance group within the community development division of the council. I intentionally center the Thrive equity outcome in the environmental, solar, and climate resilience technical assistance that I provide. Next slide, please. As Angela spoke to, we really have two objectives for this afternoon as it pertains to this presentation. First, we want to communicate the breadth of the division's solar efforts with how we're integrating solar and resilience into all of our everyday work, our projects and partnerships, as well as our research and analysis. We'll work through these topics by starting with a few things that we partner and support on, and then we'll transition to the things we're more squarely leading on. After that, we'll discuss with more depth the division's Solar for Vouchers pilot program. Next slide, please. Great. So our technical assistance programs and the reviews that we execute. Right now, we incorporate solar energy potential, climate resilience strategies, and environmental justice concerns into the division's technical assistance programs and the reviews that we conduct, which include the livable community accounts criteria, environmental reviews for proposed developments across the region, and comprehensive plan updates. This improves the consistency and clarity of the council's implementation expectations for our communities. Next slide, please. One of those flagship programs is the SolSmart program, which we administer for the 7-county metro region. This is a tax-funded solar technical assistance program administered nationally by an organization called the Solar Foundation, explicitly meant to support government agencies in integrating solar best practices into their permitting, planning, and zoning. The council is administering this program for the region to develop solar technical assistance capacity, resources, and best practices specifically for metro communities. We actually became the first metropolitan planning organization in the country to receive designation from this program, which we were designated gold. And we actually created the criteria by which other MPOs across the country become designated in this program. Next slide, please. We inventory and promote national and local equitable solar energy projects. We've intentionally developed our solar technical assistance capacity to include case studies, initiatives, and programs that prioritize equitable outcomes through new solar development. This effort has positioned us to provide solar technical assistance that increases the ability of our communities to support equitable solar policies, practices, and projects. We do this to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers in our region and to foster a culture of learning from new actors, as well as to forge new partnerships within and outside of our region. Next slide, please. The Minneapolis Green Cost Share Applicant Review Committee. So we continue to serve as an application reviewer for the City of Minneapolis's Green Cost Share program, and specifically their solar production incentive arm of the program, which is a progressively equitable incentive program. We do this to learn about the actors, methods, solutions, and barriers to equitable solar development in the region's largest city, which also has the most diverse building stock to really help learn applicable practices for other communities across the region. Next slide, please. We have the Minnesota Solar Pathways project, on which we were on the technical committee. Now, this partnership is a multi-sector, multi-agency, statewide research project funded by the U.S. Department of Energy. The council is involved to validate the study and the assumptions that it uses, as well as represent the long-term land use, growth, and systems interests of the region for this statewide study. The project actually affirmed the viability for the state's electrical grid to be able to achieve 10% solar by 2030 and a 70% blend of solar and wind by 2050 at prices more affordable and as reliable as carbon-based alternatives. Next slide, please. The Solar Energy Innovation Network. So the council partnered with 2 state agencies, a few utilities, and nonprofit research institutions to inform how cost viable is it to install solar PV canopies in conjunction with electric vehicle chargers for our fleet vehicles and our fleet buses. A byproduct of the partnership is a unique tool which I will touch on later. Next slide, please. We regularly participate as a reviewer in the U.S. Department of Energy's various solar grant programs, once again, primarily to learn about other innovative and equitable solar planning, permitting, and development strategies and programs that different actors and organizations are leading on around the country, and then frame those projects, programs, et cetera, so that they're applicable to our regional context. Next slide, please. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency Solar PV Recycling Committee. The purpose of this group is to develop rules and policies with stakeholders to mitigate future solar PV recycling concerns across the state. Stakeholders include state agencies, scientists, solar developers, trade associations, and manufacturers, as well as cities and counties. Fall this year is when we're starting to expect some of those first recommendations to come out of this committee, which is publicly available. Next slide, please. Education and outreach. So pretty close to bi-monthly, we're doing presentations on planning, policy, climate change, and equity at the council to schools, professional organizations, and state and local government entities, really to promote the policies of the council, the mission of the council, as well as foster learning and new relationships. Next slide, please. University partnerships supporting solar research. We form partnerships with academic institutions such as the University of Minnesota, the Humphrey School of Public Affairs specifically, and Macalester College to expand the council's capacity for its climate change and equity efforts, as well as to develop interest in local government and planning careers, and to bring in new perspectives and potential solutions to the challenges we face. Next slide, please. The Minnesota Brightfields Initiative. This initiative involves a statewide, cross-disciplinary, cross-sector coalition of organizations working to identify a financial, legal, and regulatory pathway for the development of solar PV arrays at Minnesota's closed landfills to promote socially and environmentally equitable outcomes. We co-lead this initiative with a broad partnership of entities and now serve as technical experts on the Minnesota Environmental Quality Board's Solar on Closed Landfill study. This project is actually a byproduct of the aforementioned Minnesota Solar Pathways project. We specifically co-lead this project because local metro communities such as Hopkins, City of Ramsey, Eden Prairie, and Louisville Township have suggested that this is an elegant and desirable land use. Next slide, please. All right, this is going to be a good little bit of content, so bear with me. The Surface with Purpose tool, which is for mapping and impact analysis for climate resilience and equity strategies. So this is a spatial analysis tool that analyzes the potential benefits of green roofs and biosolar roof systems. And biosolar systems are where you combine a green roof with a solar PV system. Now, this tool analyzes the potential benefits of such systems, development to inform policy, planning, finance, and design solution strategies. And this tool is actually live and available online right now. So I hope you stay with me as we finish the presentation, but the links down there is embedded. So if you click on it, you can check out the tool later. Benefits include reductions of greenhouse gas emissions, urban heat island effect, localized flooding, and improved air quality, improved water quality, and improved carbon sequestration. As alluded to earlier, we developed this tool as a byproduct of our Solar Energy Innovation Network participation. This tool complements our other existing climate resilience tools as well, our climate vulnerability assessment tool and our greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool. It also provides more granular technical assistance for climate change adaptation planning, and that the tool maps large surface parking lots and rooftops across the entire 7-county metro region and classified them by their land use. Next slide, please. Solar mapping and offset potential. So this is an example of integrating new tools and old data sets. Thanks to the Twin Cities greenhouse gas inventory tool, which I just mentioned, and more granular data availability from electric utilities, as well as natural gas utilities, we can more accurately quantify the amount of electricity and cost of electricity that rooftop solar can offset in our local communities. For example, in XO Energy Service territory, metro residents and businesses spent around $2.2 billion on electricity across 74 communities in 2017. Rooftop solar production, so just rooftops, could conservatively offset around 2/3 of all annual electricity use and costs with a sub-20-year payback period for 74 of our region's largest cities. We hope this information can support the local communities with comprehensive plans that prioritize economic development, solar energy development, and assisting energy burdened homes within their communities. Next slide, please. All right. Now we're transitioning into that deeper dive into a specific program, the Solar for Vouchers program, which is a purely council-driven and derived technical assistance program designed to help multifamily rental property owners adopt solar energy and reduce their energy costs by installing solar panels. Property owners can take advantage of these cost savings in exchange for a commitment to rent some of their units to our Housing Choice Voucher Program participants through our Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Next slide, please. So the idea, why are we doing this? Well, in 2019, 56% of program participants who received a voucher were able to rent within 120 days of receiving their vouchers. What that means is that 44% of our Housing Redevelopment Authority program's participants lost the opportunity to participate in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. The local planning assistance unit provides taxpayer-funded solar technical assistance to property owners who can provide the units to the HRA's Solar for Vouchers program. That's the idea here. Next slide, please. Now, the impetus of this program is grounded in the council's policy principles of being accountable to the public with the services we provide. To do that, this program also works in alignment with the other policy principles by working collaboratively within and outside of the division and integrating our existing resources to promote equitable outcomes through sustainable practices. Next slide, please. The program structure looks like this. There are 3 primary actors. 1, multifamily property owners. 2, solar developers. And 3, the Solar for Vouchers program. Now, the Solar for Vouchers program is made up of various staff from various council divisions and working units and a to-be-determined external nonprofit partner. The Solar for Vouchers program really acts as a matchmaker between pre-qualified solar developers and property owners who opt into this program. The program facilitates solar developers offering property owners the best contractual offers for their site and business wants and needs. In exchange, the property owners reserve their units and their properties for voucher holders to be able to realize the opportunity of receiving cost-free technical assistance and ultimately signing solar installation contract. Next slide, please. For developers, we're bringing a sizable portfolio of high-quality, pre-screened, financeable, motivated potential clients, which removes their marketing and project origination costs. For property owners, we've heard from them in our 2-year engagement process that they value a cohort-based program for peer learning. They benefit from impartial but highly qualified guidance and education from the solar technical experts staffing and running the Solar for Vouchers program. They also benefit from reduced installation costs from group purchasing, and they benefit from a predictable, structured program that operates on a timeline, which is to say the program values their time. Next slide, please. So the timeline. First, this fall 2020, the Solar for Vouchers program intends to perform outreach, education, and recruitment to find those multifamily property owners who want to submit a letter of intent to participate in this program. Then over the winter, the program will run an RFQ, or request for qualifications process, to identify those highest quality at the best price solar developers. Moving into summer next year, the program will finally bring together the multifamily property owners and the solar developers for site visits, for solar installation, and for Metro HRA inspections. Coming down the home stretch in the fall of next year, the property owners will have a few months to decide whether or not they want to enter into a solar installation contract and if they want to honor their HRA commitment by way of submitting a standard Section 8 contract or entering into a standard Section 8 contract. Then, after winter thaws next year, we will realize the desired outcomes of the program. Solar installation will begin, and those Metro HRA voucher holders will also begin moving in. Next slide, please. Now, this is a pilot program, which means after this cohort wraps up installation, we begin evaluation, we perform surveys to get feedback, we conduct analysis, and we conduct reporting. And with the results from the initial and ongoing evaluation, analysis, and reporting, we'll be able to inform the development of recommendations on if, why, where, and how the program may be scaled up and rolled out as a metro and/or statewide program. Next slide. And with that, I'm going to get a water break and welcome questions or comments for how, maybe this program could be well integrated with other programs and how our technical assistance could potentially be better supporting the residents and communities of our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. That was great to know that, and we learned something every day about the council. I'm giving you a chance to drink some water. Any comments, observations, and questions? Councilmember Vento.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Cameron, I was really impressed with this. Ironically, this morning on public radio, I heard a segment regarding, it was an interview, and I believe it was with a gentleman by the name of William McDonough, who has done work in the area of solar energy, and he used the phrase, and I think it may be the title of a book, Designing for Abundance. And the word abundance really hit me, particularly as it related to the fact that we were going to be having this conversation tonight. So thank you. I would be interested, if it's possible, to attend as an observer any of your education and or outreach sessions, just to learn more about the community's interest and to get a deeper understanding of the value of the program and how it can really benefit our communities here in the metro area and hopefully statewide. So thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure. Yeah, the intention with the workshops that we'll be conducting, we know this program's for a very specific targeted group of property owners and residents, and that it can't produce the outcomes that it's aspiring to for folk outside of that very targeted spectrum. So the idea is to also, kind of do a sort of cross-pollination. So promote the other programs that currently exist for multifamily, single-family properties across the metro as it relates to energy efficiency, insulation, weatherization, financing. I think that's the biggest thing I do in this job as it relates to speaking with communities, is sharing resources that already exist that folk just aren't aware of. Not being from Minnesota, yeah, it's a land of abundance, and so much abundance it can be hard to wade through and find your way through it sometimes.
Councilmember Lindstrom.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to back up to the one of your first slides where you were talking about SolSmart, and maybe you mentioned this and I missed it, but I know that one of our goals that we set as a council last fall was to provide tools and resources to local governments to advance their own sustainability efforts. And I guess I just wanted to hammer home to the rest of the council that this is exactly what we're talking about when we set goals like that. SolSmart does provide best practices around planning and zoning around solar. So, and my specific question is, and maybe you don't know the number off the top of your head, but I know there's been perhaps dozens of cities and counties that have received designation just in the metropolitan area. Is that right, Cameron? I just kind of wanted to emphasize how successful this has been in the last year or so, and continues to be emphasized in the months and years ahead.
Sure thing. Thank you, council member. Yeah, I believe the last count I had, and we just submitted New Brighton for bronze designation in the program, I think actually last week. If they get designation, I believe we'll have 27 communities across the metro. And those 27 communities make up, last I checked, it's over half of the population of the metro. I mean, we have communities from like Jordan to Belle Plaine enrolled in the program, and Hopkins and their Hastings and their comp plan identifying a similar program with Excel Energy that's more focused on energy vision, and then specifically plan to enroll in SoulSmart after that for execution of that energy vision for their community. So I just looked at the numbers now in terms of comprehensive plans. We have about 44 communities who explicitly said in the comprehensive plan they plan on enrolling in this program or continuing to participate in this program, typically in conjunction with other adjacent programs such as the Green Step Cities program, the Excel Energy Partners and Energy program. So one of the tools in the belt, and folk are using it, which is great.
You have a follow-up? Yeah. No?
I do have to follow up on this, on the Solar for Vouchers.
Yeah,
program,
sure.
Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, it's just so disheartening to hear the numbers, Cameron, that you mentioned around the 44% of folks that get a voucher have a tough time finding a place. I mean, it takes it's such a gamble to get on the list in the first place. Then you wait months or years to get a voucher, and then, you know, half of them can't find a spot. That's disheartening. So I appreciate this pilot project and thinking creatively on a way that we could get 50 more units, 75 more units, 100 more units in the housing voucher program, and how this works across divisions, as you mentioned. I really love that. And then is focused on not just one of our goals, but this is really a twofer for us around equity, around sustainability, and probably others that I'm not thinking of. But so just kudos really for you and the council to be thinking creatively about solving these problems.
Definitely. Councilmember Zarin.
Thank you, Chair Zelli. Of course, I think this is great. We got two different programs. We're leveraging them across each other to really impact the metropolitan area and with housing and renewable energy. My question is around how can we use this? Is there a labor component to this? And how can we leverage bringing workers into the workplace and having a good paying job? Because if you got a good paying job, you can probably, we know this through apprenticeship, that when you go through apprenticeship, you end up owning a home. So that's a component that I'm interested in. And Mr. Bailey, could you speak to that a little bit?
Sure thing. Thank you, council member. I mean, for the workforce component, we're really not, we weren't focused on that for this. I will say early on, very quickly, we're like, oh, we could bring sustainable finance into this, and we could start bringing in like insurance, because we know insurance rates are higher for low-income neighborhoods for the same physical asset to insure it, which is a a regressive tax and is a regressive cost for people to bear. But as we expand it further, as I was saying earlier to Councilmember Vento, we learned and were told by a lot of people who run different sort of technical assistance programs and have crafted and administered them over the years, you need to be really targeted and focused on what you're trying to do here and have that be very concise and well executed. And by doing that, that will allow others to see how this program can piggyback on and kind of like cross-pollinate with other programs and initiatives. So to be very blunt and direct, that was not the focus of this project or this program, but also that's why it's a pilot. So the idea of looking at that sort of analysis, or, smart folk like yourselves being able to, talk amongst each other and identify how are other ways by which we may be able to bring workforce, and not just short-term construction, but long-term operation and maintenance, sustainable jobs, growth and creation to the region. So hopefully that answers your question.
Chair Zelle, could I follow up with that?
Sure. Yeah, please.
I have been working in the construction industry for 16 years, and I've worked myself out of a job continuously. But there's always another job to go to, except for now when we're in COVID. So don't go down the road, if you could, of thinking that just one construction job is an unsustainable job, because there's always another job after that. It's about building skills. It's about building abilities, and those are always transferable to other things. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Peter, back to you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say, the council just partially funded a renewable energy training center in North Minneapolis that's just getting off the ground. And maybe we could think creatively about incorporating the work that Jemez Staples is doing in North Minneapolis into this program. And I'm sure, and I would just also add, if Councilmember Zirin has any additional ways to incorporate workers, we're all ears. I'm sure Cameron is all ears.
One thing leads to the next.
Well, that was an invitation to speak about prevailing wage in my mind. Chair Zelle, if you don't mind. Sure. If we incorporate prevailing wage into all of our projects, including this, now this is a little bit different because you've got a developer and a private business that you're putting that solar on. So it's not a direct funding of the council. There's some mechanism, some floatingness there, right? But prevailing wage, what it does is it helps sustain apprenticeship, and it brings the next generation of worker into the workforce. And it's really a simple thing to add that doesn't muck things up. The development of something up like this in any way. It just makes sure that the project is going to be done using apprenticeship. And you can get a lower composite worker rate by having somebody who's in a apprenticeship, a state-sponsored apprenticeship program, and they're learning their skills and building up. And a 6-week job, an 8-week job, that all builds to a career. And that's it's important for our region to be able to build people's skills, and apprenticeship through and prevailing wage is the number one thing that supports apprenticeship. That's all I have to add. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Judy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I just want to thank all the people that, Councilmember Lindstrom and the team and others who are those environmental champions. I like to be called a cheerleader or part of the choir, but it all works together. So this helps housing, right? Which is, as all of these are important, right? And certainly housing is one of my passions. So thank you for that. And you mentioned, I think you said 40 some communities are already participating, 44. Is there a goal to increase that? Are we trending up, down? And how can we help get the word out? And then what may be, and maybe you touched on this a little, I know the other programs that are out there too, some have challenges right now in some communities for some reasons, but are there things that are barriers for communities that we could potentially help solve for? And again, Cameron, I just want to say thank you for your expertise and your passion around this, because it's pretty great. Thank you.
Excellent. So many thanks, Councilmember. Yeah, for SoulSmart, what we've done thus far is we usually try to bring through a cohort of communities. So the first cohort, I believe, was 11, and it was in conjunction, a partnership with a larger statewide cohort. So the council focused on Metro region, other organizations focused on the greater Minnesota communities, but still working in collaboration for kind of sharing of best practices, as well as potential solutions to some of the barriers as to what you asked. I'd say for the ingredients that really help make this program successful is when you have leadership buy-in at the city, when you have staff aware of and understanding of why they would participate and why they are participating in the program across departments. And then the third one is really having staff capacity to do it. So leadership, everyone on board, and the capacity to really do the work. And so that's typically what we found it's like the most effective for communities is when they can get it staff time allocated, so it's built into someone's work plan for the year to really shepherd this program across departments at the city. And at the city, the city council and the mayor and ideally directors of departments are aware of the program and understand why they're doing it. And there's a clear sense of what they hope to get from the program. So the alignment with the comprehensive plan has been great because communities are identifying, desired outcomes and goals. So that's really where I think the program usually fits in well, is the communities are typically in the best position to identify whether or not what the program offers supports what they really want and what their priorities are right now. For getting the program out, really promoting across your networks and I'd say funding them our way. We try to make it as easy possible for folk to participate in the program. City of Bloomington comes to mind. It was really someone from their Sustainability Commission heard about the program once. Councilmember Lindstrom, I think maybe through a CERTS newsletter. They reached out to me, spoke with them, spoke to our sector rep. We looked at the community's goals and priorities in their 2040 comp plan. They invited us to speak at their Sustainability Commission. Then they brought it up to city staff. They went across the departments. It got on the council member agenda, and then the council members for the city said, we're doing this program, committing to it. We're going to work on it over the next year and a half, 2 years, and these are the things specifically we want to get out of the program. So it all started with someone working at the city or involved with the city who cares and really knows how to get people on board and behind something for their specific community context.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Judy.
So, Cameron, I know we put out a lot of information to our cities. I'm sure we use metro cities who can be very good. I know they've got, a really great environmental and sustainability type committee when they look at the policies at the state and other levels. But is there a framework or best practice grid or blueprint of how new cities that might be just starting to be interested in this? Is there something that we could help advance to plant the seed? Just like to get information out there and find those people that can be that champion and help grow the cause.
Great point. Great question. I would say we really try to house a lot of that information on our webpage and cross promote a lot of our key partners in this work, because we do a lot of it in partnership with others. So usually do quarterly updates of our specifically solar landing pages, and also we're trying to be better at cross embedding, I think, our different initiatives and technical assistance. So actually now embedding our solar technical support presence within our Twin Cities greenhouse gas emissions inventory, as well as both of those within our climate vulnerability assessment tool. And yeah, you know, like trying to be more integrated with our key partners, which are, you know, typically the State Department of Commerce, CERTS, Green Step Cities, Great Plains Institute. So also looking for new partners to reach maybe the same folk a different way that might be more effective. But yeah, pretty easy to get started once folk decide they want to come in. Just like a letter of intent, we'd like to do this, and then just take it from there.
That's great. Any other questions, thoughts? Well, Cameron, I think we now have met you and we know what you're doing, and we're going to know again how it progresses. It always amazes me that when you read about these programs, but you always don't know, like, how does this actually happen? And so behind that is actually a person. So it's really great that the work that you're doing, and really appreciate getting a little better flavor of it. And Lisa, it's good to see you. You're now well connected, so there you go. And Robert, Robert, do you have a comment? No. All right. Any other thoughts, questions? Well, maybe we can follow up and hear kind of how more communities are availing themselves of this in the future. Well, thanks everyone. This is a shorter meeting, but I think it's summertime. We have plenty to do, so enjoy the evening. And Cameron, we'll see you around again. And thanks everyone. We'll see you shortly in the days, and certainly next week. This meeting's adjourned.